My first car when I was in college in '38 was a Model A with a rumble seat, $50. And I refereed basketball games, and I got paid $5. I was on a basketball scholarship, had everything paid, and I got $20 a month for laundry, and I cleaned up 3 classrooms. And that was when a dollar was a dollar. When war broke out, I was a senior in college, December 1941, and I can remember Roosevelt on radio. So if you were in college, you weren't drafted or so forth. And so when I got out the next June, I enlisted in the Navy, yeah. And I went to Norfolk, and I took boot training there, and Sam Snead, the famous golfer, went with me. I went on a ship, an old four-piper destroyer Barry. We went to North Atlantic, and we take convoys to Reykjavik, and then the English corvettes would take them to Murmansk, Russia. And at North Atlantic, we had to strap ourselves to the bunk to keep from rolling out on the deck. That's how rough it was. And then after that, I was transferred to another destroyer, and we went to the Mediterranean. I had a younger brother who was 4 years younger than I, and he enlisted in the Army and was killed in the Battle of the Bulge, and he's buried in Belgium. And Marion and I visited his grave many times. So I have a couple of DFCs that I'm only destroyer guy. I know that I was in a Cub plane giving them directions where the battleships and cruisers to shore bombardment and I got shot down twice. I was lucky. I was lucky to be here. Well, everybody takes about my 5 Purple Hearts, and I was just lucky that every time a shell hit the ship first, and I just got fragments, and I had people sitting beside me in gunnery that not that lucky. And but I guess I got the DSM at Normandy. And I was telling my friend John, people look at my medals I've got in my den, or my wife has this little thing, and I have 21 medals. And the guy that did the last interview for TV there at Quail Ridge, he says, all your friends talk about you have 5 Purple Hearts. You have 6. And I said, well, you look at the names on the back of them, and one of them says Raymond Kirkpatrick. That's my brother. He was killed at the Battle of the Bulge, and I'm the only one left. I inherited his medal. It means I'm just proud of America, and I just, every day I thank God that I'm still here, because I think about guys that I was with that were killed, and I love America. That's why I volunteered. And that's why I didn't go home after I was wounded. I could have. I was in Honolulu. And I remember it like it was yesterday. After the war in the Atlantic, ocean side, Mediterranean, all. We had torpedoes, John, on our ship, and we didn't need them for Pacific. By that time, they had these kamikazes in the Pacific, and all you need was aircraft, your AA. So we came back to New York Naval Yard and had 40 millimeters and 20s put on midship where the torpedoes was. And then we went down to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and fired them and tested them, went through the canal and headed for Pacific. Well, Erie Ball, our torpedo officer, we didn't have any torpedoes, he was transferred to a bigger destroyer, 712 class, John, that had torpedoes, and so he flew out there to join his ship. So we get an all-nav on the way to Honolulu that his ship was sunk by one of these typhoons. Who you think the first one we saw when we docked at Honolulu? Erie Ball. He had missed his ship by one day. So see, it's all in one day earlier, and he'd been on that ship. We headed for Tokyo, and Truman dropped that atomic bomb. And you'd be surprised at the people that criticized him. I mean, man, they criticized him for dropping the bomb, and you know how many lives he saved? Mine.
And mine too.
Because they weren't, you know, John, they weren't going to give up. Hell, they had the kids getting ready to fight. So I remember exactly where I was. The communication officer got all nav that war was over. And I saw General Patton in Sicily. I saw Eisenhower before the invasion of Normandy. I saw Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin all together at Yalta. I saw Roosevelt and Churchill at Malta. We were right next to them for the invasion, and Dick knows this. A friend of mine there at Quail Ridge said, "Harold, guess where we were last summer? We were at Yalta." And said they've still got the picture of Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin there where they had the big meeting, and Eisenhower and all of them before the invasion. I said, "Yeah, I was there." He said, "You mean you were at Malta?" I said, "I was at Malta too." So I've got the picture. I meant to have brought it, but Mary and I forgot it, of Churchill and them there and me, Eisenhower and all of them. Yeah. And I have a saying that it's not what you know, it's who you know. I mean, through my life, a lot of things have happened to me because of people I know. I stayed at Bob Hope's house. How about that? That's what I tell my grandkids. It's not what you know, it's who you know. I played in a British amateur at Port Call, Wales. Dick knows this. In '51. And Bob Hope was there with Marilyn Maxwell. He had a suite, and I had a room next to him, and I got to know him. They were making the Lemon Drop Kid movie. So after a week with him, he invited me to come out to Hollywood. And when I got back to Kentucky, people said, "What's the difference in Hollywood and Kentucky?" And I said, "Well, they take their clothes off just like you and I. They just do it more often." But every time I think about the Lemon Drop Kid, I used to have horses. I'm from Kentucky, and we go to the races, the Kentucky Derby and Preakness, and the one at New York, the Belmont. And Mary and I were looking at, this is several years ago, and there was a horse named Lemon Drop Kid, 91 odds. So I told her, I said, I'm going up to Kennel Club and put $20 on it. And he won. I got back $700. She said, oh, bull. And so I made a mistake and took her up and let her cash the ticket. But I didn't get home with $700. So I remember Bob Hope, and I stayed in his house for a week. Yeah. He was a great entertainer. There'll never be another Bob Hope. I just tell people I'm lucky. I was given last rites, but I'm still here. Well, when you get 95, you just live from day to day. And I thank God every night for being here and for friends like Dick and for my wife.